world has never been changed by silence. It's changed by a voice that dares to rise above the noise, even when it trembles. 14 centuries ago, in the vast, empty deserts of Arabia, surrounded by the thunder of tribal wars and the heavy silence of spiritual confusion, a voice broke the stillness of the cave of Hira. "Read," it said. And though the man who heard it could neither read nor write, those words would echo across time and space, across continents and oceans, across hearts and generations, until nearly 2 billion people would answer its call. But how did Islam, the religion born in a small city with no armies, no empires, and no wealth, become a global faith followed by people of every language, race, and color? This is not just the story of a religion. It is the story of humanity's thirst for meaning, of resilience in the face of fire, of how one man's tears became the seed of a civilization, and how that civilization weathered storms, betrayals, and glories to carry the message of one God from the sands of Arabia to every corner of the earth. In the city of Mecca, surrounded by mountains and stone, a man named Muhammad lived a life of honesty and humility. Orphaned as a child, raised by his grandfather and then uncle, he grew up far from the palaces of kings. He didn't carry a sword, nor did he sit on thrones. He walked quietly through the streets, often lost in thought, disturbed by the cruelty of the world around him, girls buried alive, slaves whipped, the poor ignored, and idols worshipped. His heart ached for justice, for light, for truth. And when, at the age of 40, the angel Gabriel came to him in the silence of a cave, Muhammad's life, and the fate of the world, would never be the same. At first, he was afraid. He thought he was losing his mind. But his wife, Khadija, held his trembling hands and told him with the deepest faith, "By God, he would never disgrace you. You uphold ties, feed the poor, speak the truth." Her faith was the first pillar of the storm that was coming. When Muhammad began to preach openly in Mecca, telling people to abandon their idols, to believe in one God, and to treat one another with justice, the response was not applause. It was fury. The powerful Quraysh leaders saw their influence threatened. Their idols brought them power, pride, and wealth. This man, this orphan, this merchant, was telling them they were wrong. So they responded with cruelty. They beat him. They laughed at him. They threw dirt on him. His followers were tortured in the streets. The slave Bilal was dragged across the hot sand with a boulder on his chest, crying out, "Ahad! Ahad! One God! One God!" Sumaya, an elderly woman and one of the earliest converts, was stabbed through the stomach for her faith, becoming the first martyr of Islam. The Prophet himself was not spared. His uncle, who protected him, died. His beloved wife Khadija passed away in the same year. He stood, alone, at the gates of Taif, seeking a new audience for his message. But the children were ordered to throw stones at him until his feet bled. He did not curse them. He prayed for them. In the darkest night of his life, the light came. He was taken on a miraculous journey to the heavens, the Isra and Miraj, where he was shown the glory of creation and met the prophets who came before him. It was not a political mission. It was a spiritual one. The message of Islam was not one of conquest, but of connection. A message that humanity is one family, created by one God, and that every soul has value. But the world would not accept this easily. After 13 years of persecution, Muhammad and his followers were forced to flee to Medina. There, they were welcomed not as kings, but as brothers. The city became a sanctuary, and Islam became more than a belief. It became a way of life. In Medina, Muslims learned to build relationships, communities, peace. Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived together under a constitution that protected every right. But Mecca would not let them be. War came. At Badr, outnumbered and outarmed, the Muslims stood firm. They won. At Uhud, they faltered. They lost. At the Battle of the Trench, they were nearly crushed, but held out by digging a trench, a lesson in strategy and unity. The Prophet never fought for revenge. Even when he had the power to destroy, he forgave. When he returned to Mecca, years later, not as a fugitive but as a leader. He entered humbly. No blood was shed. He stood before the very people who had driven him out, killed his followers, mocked his mission, and he said, "Today, there is no blame upon you. You are free." Hearts melted. Idols were destroyed. The Kaaba was restored to the worship of one God. And the world began to change. Islam did not spread overnight. It spread because of its message. Simple, profound, human. That God is one. That every soul is accountable. That prayer connects you with the Creator. That charity purifies your wealth. That fasting teaches empathy. That pilgrimage unites all races. Islam spread through trade, through scholarship, through character. Muslim merchants reached East Africa, where the call to prayer would echo in Zanzibar. They reached India and Malaysia, where locals embraced the faith not through war, but through the kind dealings of Sufi saints. In China, Islam thrived under dynasties that respected its moral discipline. In Spain, under Muslim rule, Jews and Christians lived peacefully. Cities like Córdoba became centers of learning, medicine, philosophy, and art. Libraries flourished. Streets were lit with lanterns. Science and spirituality walked hand in hand. And yet, this golden age was not without its shadows. The Muslim world grew powerful, but power breeds division. Dynasties fought for control. Scholars were silenced. Sectarianism crept in. Crusaders invaded. Mongols burned Baghdad. The Ottoman Empire rose, carrying the flag of Islam into Europe. But eventually, they too declined. Colonialism arrived, slicing Muslim lands into broken maps. The heart of the Ummah, once unified, was shattered. Mosques were turned into museums. Languages were erased. Generations were taught to be ashamed of their identity. But even then, the faith endured. In Africa, enslaved Muslims carried Islam in their hearts across the Atlantic. In the underground, they whispered the Quran. In prisons, in villages, in deserts, wherever they were, Muslims held tight to the prayer, to the fasting, to the remembrance of God. In the 20th century, as nations gained independence, Islam re-emerged as a force not just of faith, but of identity. In America, Malcolm X stood before millions, telling the world how Islam had erased the poison of racism from his heart. In Bosnia, under genocide, Muslims prayed in ruins. In Palestine, in Kashmir, in Syria, through war and despair, Muslims found strength not in bullets, but in belief. Today, Islam is the faith of nearly 2 billion people, not because of swords, not because of kings, but because of truth, because it speaks to the soul, because it answers the question every heart asks: why am I here? Who made me? What happens when I die? Islam says, you were created by a loving God. Your life has meaning. Your pain has purpose. Your actions matter. And death is not the end. This message has traveled from the caves of Arabia to the skyscrapers of New York, to the villages of Nigeria, to the mountains of Afghanistan, to the rice fields of Indonesia. It speaks Arabic, Urdu, Turkish, Swahili, Chinese, English, French. It wears every color. It walks every path. How did Islam become a global religion? It became global because its message was always universal. It welcomed the slave and the scholar, the king and the shepherd, the sinner and the saint. It taught that God judges the heart, not the skin. That knowledge is a form of worship. That mercy is stronger than hate. That peace is the goal. And that the best among people are those who serve others. The story of Islam is not finished. It lives in the call to prayer that echoes from rooftops. In the pages of the Quran recited by children. In the hands that give, the feet that walk to mosques, the lips that whisper, Bismillah, before every task. It lives in the struggles of Muslims building hospitals, schools, charities, in Gaza, in Jakarta, in Detroit. It lives in the quiet prayers of mothers, in the courage of converts, in the tears of pilgrims circling the Kaaba for the first time. Islam became global not through power, but through purpose. Not through domination, but through devotion. It became global because its source was divine, and its strength was love. And as long as there are hearts that seek truth, the story of Islam will never end.